The Dreamcast, Sega's last console before its departure from the hardware market, holds a special place in the hearts of many gamers. Released in 1999, it was ahead of its time, boasting features such as online gaming capabilities, impressive graphical power, and a unique library of games. Despite its relatively short lifespan due to its loss against Sony's greatly anticipated PlayStation 2, the Dreamcast managed to achieve a remarkable legacy, showcasing Sega's willingness to innovate and push the boundaries of gaming. While defeated, Sega's last hurrah still made massive waves, capturing the hearts of many. One of the Dreamcast's most significant contributions was its pioneering online gaming capabilities. It was the first console to feature a built-in modem for internet connectivity, allowing players to experience online multiplayer games in a way that was previously unheard of. The Dreamcast laid the groundwork for future consoles, demonstrating the potential of online gaming and setting the stage for the interconnected gaming experiences we enjoy today. In terms of graphical power, the Dreamcast was a formidable machine. It delivered visually stunning games that surpassed the capabilities of its competitors at the time. Titles such as Shenmue, Soul Calibur, and Crazy Taxi showcased the console's ability to produce rich, detailed environment and fluid animations, capturing the imagination of gamers worldwide. The Dreamcast's library was diverse and unique, featuring a mix of beloved franchise and innovative new titles. Sega's commitment to providing a wide range of experiences was evident. From the awesome action of Jet Set Radio to the strategic depth of Skies of Arcadia, the Dreamcast offered something for every type of gamer, including me, who had the opportunity to play it extensively along my family members. Among the myriads of Dreamcast titles, there's one that I remember more than the others. A game called Power Stone 2, who stands out as a vibrant fighting game departing from the classic genre to do its own thing. Developed and published by Capcom, Power Stone 2 builds upon the foundation laid by its predecessor, Power Stone, who was more of a traditional one-on-one fighter, and enhanced the gameplay by making matches for players and adding more features instead. Power Stone 2 was headed by producer Hideaki Tsuno, and released in arcades in 2000. The game was later ported to the Dreamcast in the same year, allowing even more players to experience its charm. The battles take place in a fully interactive 3D environment where players can use objects within the stage as weapons, adding a strategic element to the fast-paced, sometimes chaotic action. The game also features a diverse cast of characters, each with their own abilities and fighting style, ensuring dynamic gameplay. What makes it stand out from other fighting games is the fact that you can gather power stones that can change a character in their super form for a time, increasing their overall abilities while changing their moveset completely and adding 2 super moves different for each character. Upon its release in arcades, it quickly garnered a loyal following, being a sequel to a moderately popular title. Its dynamic gameplay resonated with players seeking a fresh and engaging fighting experience. The game's vibrant graphics and distinctive character designs further contributed to its appeal, making it a standout title in arcade halls. Recognizing the game's success, Capcom decided to port Power Stone 2 to the Dreamcast, allowing a wider audience to experience its unique style. The transition to the home console was seamless, with the Dreamcast's capabilities perfectly complementing the game's graphical and gameplay demands. It retained its arcade roots while introducing additional features such as new modes and improved multiplayer options, adding even more ways to enjoy the game. In this video, I'll go over the basic gameplay and stages, introducing the many modes and characters, including the bosses you can meet, going over some secrets and unlockable stuff as well. It's a fighting game, so the story is meager, but I'll make do by adding as much details and trivia as I can muster. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Power Stone world.
Most game modes work in the same way, but with small differences. We will check them out in a bit, but for now let's focus on the basic gameplay and controls. Controls are easy enough to understand. You have a weak attack, a strong attack, a jump, and an action button. Weak attacks are fast and can be used in succession to make a combo. Strong attacks are stronger than weak attacks but are predictable and leaves you open if you miss them. If you tap the strong attack in a direction while close to an enemy, you can do a simple grab and throw, useful to create distance or throw someone off the stage. You can also grab opponents in the air. You can also start a strong attack while hugging a wall. Characters will launch themselves at the closest opponent, often leading to a combo or stunning the target, giving yourself an advantage. You can also do it in the air, range and type of attack depending on the character doing the move. The action button is used to grab items and interact with the environment and walls. You can drop an item if you press the strong attack button, and you can also use it to interact with the stage. It sounds so simplistic it's almost boring, but instead of complicated inputs, Power Stone is more about using your surroundings to your advantage. As mentioned, you can interact with the stage props in many different ways. For example, poles are a pretty common prop in most stages. If you grab one from the ground, you'll swing around and make an attack, but some characters can pull it off the ground and swing it at the competition. If you grab the pole from the air, you'll hold on to it and lunge at your opponents with a strong move. Another common stage prop is boxes, and just like poles, they can be used in many ways. If you grab them, you can launch them towards an opponent with the weak attack button or throw it where you're facing with the action button. You don't have to grab them though, as you can also push them towards enemies if you press the action button while you're far enough so you can grab the box outright. Your character will vault over or push the box depending on their facing. Despite not being able to block, you still have some defensive capabilities. You can dodge attacks if you tap a direction at the right time, and even catch thrown items if you press the action button at the right time. Items like shields can also make you impervious as long as you hold it and don't attack. Talking about items, that's another big part of the gameplay. Many chests will appear during a battle, and if you move close to one, it will open automatically and reveal the item inside. Sometimes you can find a gun of some sort, a sword, or a bear trap, but other times you'll find fireworks, a toy hammer, or even a kitten. Melee weapons are time limited, while ranged weapons have an ammo limit, so they are quickly used up and won't stay for long. You'll also drop the item if you get damaged in any way. You have items useful for close range, some helpful at long range, you have explosives, health item, helpers, umbrellas, cameos, you name it, Power Stone has it. There are 121 items to find, and unlocking them all is a big part of the game. I have a whole section talking about it later in the video. Also, when hitting adversaries with items, it will create money which can be collected for points, as arcade games are made to get high scores. There are also the Power Stones you can find. They come in many colors, and if you manage to hold 3, your character will transform into its power form, trading their moveset for 1 powerful attack and 2 special moves, all unique to each character. You'll also take less damage from attacks. This form is only temporary though, the bar gradually drains over time and using any attacks will deplete it further. Once it's empty, you'll revert to your normal form with 2 of the 3 gems scattering around the field available for anyone to pick up. While this form is very powerful and can turn a match around, holding on to these stones is much more difficult as many attacks and items will make you lose one, sometimes 2, scattering around the arena and turning your potential advantage into a huge setback, so it may be a good idea to let the others run after the gems and strike while they're distracted. In multiplayer, these stones have the same friendship-ending power than a Mario Party title. Now that we know enough how to play, let's check out the story and characters a bit more. The setting takes place in the 19th century, in a time where adventurers were roaming the world trying to strike it rich. One of the biggest treasures one can find is the Power Stones, able to bring out the full potential of anyone who uses them. One day, everything was fine. Suddenly, a castle appears out of thin air and captures or compels the characters into it, and they must either escape or find the treasures, then escape. That's it. It's simplistic, it's secondary, it's a fighting game story. What did you expect? Fortunately, each character has a bit of additional lore to them that helps flesh out the meager story. Edward Falcon is the centerpiece of the game, whatever that counts for. He's British and loves airplanes, having one he calls the Hockenheim. In the story, he's flying over the ocean when he's caught in thunderstorm clouds. When they part, a giant castle lies in front of him. He remembers his father, Pride, talking about it and decides to go and explore it. Falcon is a balanced character, having no strength or weaknesses, but has a double jump to stand out a bit. His transformation makes him an armored fighter with a jet who can shoot missiles, and his special attacks are either shoot many homing missiles or use himself as a projectile to launch himself into enemies. Funnily, his name differs from the original he was given because, well, see for yourself. This name is in reference to a German aircraft company and it's not common knowledge in America, so they changed it, probably to avoid any confusion. Then again, it would have been funny to have a main character called Falcon. Ayame is the youngest of the characters, being 16 in the game's universe. She's a traveling performer, doubling as a skillful ninja. In the events of the first game, she was tasked to retrieve a power stone for her master, a thing she did, but in the second game, received news that it was a fake and got the order to come back to HQ. Having heard rumors of a flying castle full of treasures, she instead leaves her troop to find it in hopes to find the real power stone so she can be forgiven for her previous transgression. Ayame is a speed fighter, low power but high mobility and jump height, having access to a double jump just like Falcon. She has the lowest throwing power of all the characters, but is very quick on her feet and can avoid being cornered with lots of movement options. She transforms into a bunny ninja specializing in ranged attacks, gaining the power to shoot oversized shurikens. Her special moves are either shoot many homing shurikens or explosive darts, which deal great damage if they hit in succession. Gunrock is a miner very efficient at his job and enjoys drinking and treasure hunting once in a while. Hearing rumors about a floating castle full of treasures sparks his motivation to go and find the biggest one available. Once he found the castle, he embarked in a cannon to shoot himself at the castle. Not the first time I hear about a cannon being a transportation device. In battle, Gunrock is a power fighter. While his hitbox is huge, his movements are slow and can't jump very high, he has strength and reach with his attacks, and boasts one of the most powerful item throws in terms of damage and projectile speed. When transformed, he becomes a rock golem able to throw huge boulder at his opponents. His special attacks are either become huge and roll around, or make a tremor and make boulder falls on his opponents. He is one of the better characters to use in single player due to his overpowered specials. Ryoma was once my favorite character as a youngster because samurais are cool, period. He was on a pilgrimage to find a powerful sword capable of cleaving anything evil in two, which was successful in the end. Upon wielding the sword, it makes him float in the direction of the castle, a way for the sword to tell him he has a mission to cleanse the evil within. Ryoma lets his sword guide him, thinking it would be a good opportunity to use his new weapon. Thanks to the sword, Ryoma has great reach and power, but is wide open if he misses his mark. He's a balanced fighter just like Falcon, having most stats in the average otherwise. In his fusion form, he gains a samurai armor with beetle-like features, gains the power of lightning, and a different normal attack whether he's on the ground or in the air. His two specials are either make a lot of crescent-shaped projectiles or a lightning combo with a huge finish. Wang Tang is an up-and-coming martial artist who's serious about his training and has an appetite to match. One day while training in the mountains, he saw the giant castle floating about and decides to enter it. Once in, he feels a huge pressure and remembers his master talking about a final trial. Thinking this is it, Wang Tang gets fired up and decides to take on the challenge. On the field, he's another speedy character. While he's less mobile than Ayame, he's slightly stronger and has pretty good wall options leading to useful combo attacks. Once transformed, Look, let's not mince up words. He becomes a Super Saiyan, able to Ki Blast as an attack and gains the strength to pull poles off the ground. He comes in a complete package with a Spirit Bomb and Dragon combo as a special. It's not even subtle. Galada is the First Nations rep and a very respectable character. In the story, he was just married with the chief's daughter and was on a honeymoon in an airship celebrating his union when suddenly the castle appears, shaking the ship violently and throwing the couple off a window. When he wakes up, Galada is inside the castle, so he must find a way to escape and find his wife. As a fighter, Galada is as powerful and slow as Gunrock, but with the slight movement advantage as Galada is more mobile than his counterpart in the air. The trade-off is in the transformation. He transforms in a living totem and can rush his opponents with light wings, gaining mobility rather than brute strength. His specials are either a rain of arrows or a grab attack that is hard to connect, but is the most powerful special of all. Unfortunately, since it's a grab, it does not work on bosses. Rouge is a fortune teller with a reputation as great as her appearance. She loves her work tools so much she becomes frustrated when they are broken for any reason. Unfortunately, her crystal ball breaks because of the ominous energy the castle gives us as she tries to use it. Irritated, she decides to teleport inside the castle using her own power stone to get rid of the evil and get a new crystal ball while she's at it. Rouge is an agile character that can jump very high and feels a little floaty as well. She's frail and her normal attacks lacks a bit in power, but once she transforms, her stats gets through the roof, gaining lots of range as well. She becomes a fire djinn able to spew flames as her normal attack. Her specials are either a huge explosion directly at her feet, or her miniature son becomes the face of a demon shooting explosive balls of flame. Truly a hot character, no matter how you cut it. The weirdest of the characters, Jack is an assassin sulking the shadows, collecting shiny objects and slicing stuff with his knives whenever he can. One day, a voice calls to him, telling him that the floating castle above is filled with shining things to collect and people to slice up. Feeling excited, he lets himself get absorbed by a mysterious light emanating from the castle, not knowing he was contacted by the evil within. In battle, Jack is the tricky character you can find in fighting games. He's quite weak in terms of offense and defense, but he jumps high and his moveset is fast and unpredictable. He moves weird,
What the fuck?
talks weird, and is overall weird, which made him my second favorite character to use. Once transformed, he becomes a mechanical creature with blades as his limbs, able to extend them to hit from far away. His specials are either a helicopter flight or a rain of blades, the latter behaving differently whether it was activated on the ground or in the air. One of the 4 new characters of the game, Pete is a doll who was granted life by the wishes of his owner and the magic of a power stone. Climbing out of the toy box it was stored in, he leaves via an open window with his own dream, to surprise the world with his inventions. How he ended up in the castle is anyone's guess. Pete is a balanced character but is rather on the weak side. Aside from his funny appearance, he's pretty uninteresting until he transforms. His robot form is one of the strongest transformations in the game. Not only his lasers gain range and power, but Pete has 4 special he can use. On the ground, he can either summon an army of toy soldiers or create an electric field around him. In the air, he can create vertical pillars of lightning or send toy planes toward his enemies. Pretty versatile. Julia is the only daughter from the most influential family in the world. She's a modest and elegant girl, but hides an extremely wild side that no one can control. Her parents thought that a power stone would suppress her condition, but instead, her other personality decides to take it and run away from home. Once Julia came back to her senses, she was in the castle. In battle, Julia can use her parasol to float down slowly when in the air. The rest of her moveset isn't really worth a mention until she transforms into her other personality, a creature you'd probably see caged in a carnival. She loses her ability to float, but gains incredible power as her normal attack can stun opponents. She can then use her special on a helpless enemy which is attacking in a large cone in front of her, or making the victim take a ride on the carousel. She's overall pretty good. Gourmand is the chef of the airship called Royal Heaven, same ship Galada was having his honeymoon in. While he has a prestigious place as a member of the crew, he's actually a ravenous chef, that will do anything to find rare delicacies. So when the castle appeared and threw Galuda over, the chef thought maybe there's unknown ingredients in there, takes a pan and a knife, and jumps from the ship to the castle. Gourmand's skill set is a powerful one. If you can get over his strange appearance, he's the character boasting the longest attack range of the roster. His attack also pack a punch, and he's one of the few characters that can swing poles in fountain stages. As a trade-off, he's slow and doesn't jump high. When he transforms, however, he becomes a dinosaur and has my vote for coolest transformation. He can shoot flaming barrels over the head of his opponents, exploding into a small meteor shower. If he attacks from the air, he'll spit the meteors directly from his mouth. For his specials, he can make himself a flaming torch or send undercooked pork and seafood towards the competition. Axel has the worst luck of all the characters. In his hometown, he got cornered by outlaws, got beaten up, and tied to a hot air balloon. When he woke up, he was in the castle with a power stone in hand, curiously. Sensing a newfound strength coursing through his body, he decides to find a way out of the castle to exact his revenge on the hooligan who put him up in the first place. Mechanically, Axel is unique in the sense that he's the only character that has guns and can use them in some of his attacks. Not only that, he's fast and his attacks deal a fair amount of damage, trading off for a lower defense instead. When he transforms, he adopts an android-like form with gun barrels at his index fingers and gains the most movement speed out of all the characters. He can shoot bullets as a normal attack, and his specials are either shoot many homing bullets that move slowly or become a vehicle with a huge spiky front wheel. The latter is one of the most useful specials in single player, tied with Gunrock's rollout attack. There are two other characters to unlock, but we'll find out about them a bit later when we'll reach the unlockable section. Next, let's check out the stages you can participate in. There's only 5 main stages, but they're all unique in the sense that they're dynamic, as one stage contains usually 2 or 3 sub-stages that you'll fight in as the match goes on.
Hey now, watch your step. Don't fall off, because it's a long
First
way
one is
down
the
here.
airship stage. You'll begin the fight on the ship with lots of space to move on. There are cannons you can man for moderate damage, but they leave you open to attacks from behind or overhead. You can also throw opponents in the or rotating part of the ship for some damage as well. As the match goes on, the ship will gradually break, leaving less and less space to fight on until it completely breaks and you're forced to jump off, where our first transition will take place. Now, we're free falling. You can't deal or take damage, but you can ram in your opponents to leave them stunned for a moment. Eventually, chests and umbrella will appear. Chests will either contain a food item or nothing at all. Grab the umbrella and keep it if you can, but you can lose it if someone rams into you. There's only 2 that will appear often, creating chaos in a 4-player match. When the counter reaches 0, you'll get on the third and last sub-stage. If you manage to keep an umbrella, you will fall safely, otherwise you'll crash on the ground for minimal damage. It's pretty funny though. There's a lot going on in this part of the stage. On the right, there's catapults that will launch many rocks in the middle. On the right, there's water flowing, pushing you with strong currents where some chests or bombs can appear. It starts in the back of the area, where you can jump up and take the time to find an adequate item if you want to. Lastly, there's a tank that will appear from behind the doors. It shoots single bullets, but they're explosive and the damage is fair. It can be destroyed, but a new one will appear eventually.
What's going on here? I have a very bad feeling about this place.
Next is the Dark Castle. First off, you begin in the courtyard with a pond in the middle. Chests on the lily pads are tough to get as your character's weight will push the plants in the water, making the objects unobtainable after a short while. There's nothing much going on until fire arrows get shot from who knows where. The courtyard will be in flames, so you must then climb your way to victory. The goal is to reach the top of the castle. Jump your way up the platforms, but watch out, some of them will break, falling and hurting anyone under it. Get up as fast as you can, as the door up will close once 2 characters enter it. You'll then get transported in the castle. The two characters who manage to enter the door will enter first, the others will fall in, taking low damage. Inside the room is full of secret passages and stuff to find. The jars can stun opponents when they hit. There's a unique spear that functions the same way the trident would, and the ghost lady will appear once in a while with a little box in her arms. If you hit her, she'll throw the box away, revealing a healing item most of the time. You can also ring the bell with a strong enough blow. It will hurt those who are close or using the passages.
What's going on here? You'd better watch out for traps.
Third stage is the tomb area. This one is chock full of traps. First, you can trap enemies in the sarcophaguses. Sarcophagi? Wait a minute. Oh, you can say both. Oh well. You can trap enemies in sarcophagi lying around. You can jump up the pillars on the left, as there are some chests you can get safely enough if your character can reach them. Watch out, as boulders can sometimes drop on the pillars, and those on the ground can attack the pillars to make them shake and drop the boulder that will then roll in a straight line. There is a roulette here that will decide what kind of trap is triggered. It can activate spikes, falling boulders, spew fire, and so on. After a while, the roulette will automatically activate an event that will make the floor fall, leading you to a substage where you must run away from a huge boulder a la Indiana Jones. There will be lots of boxes and pitfalls in your way, so you must navigate carefully. Luckily, you can find items like bear traps and thumbtacks to slow the others down. You can also find some food items and means of transport such as skateboards, inline skates, or even a scooter. At the end of the path, be sure to exit by the door, otherwise you'll get damaged transitioning to the last substage. Here, you can find another room filled with stuff. First is the 4 cups. One of them contains a healing cocktail that will replenish a huge chunk of health. The other 3 will stun you, so be advised. The position of the healing cocktail will change, so it's random each time you play. The huge roulette in the back may have a good or bad outcome. Sometimes it will dish out money and health, other times it will spawn bombs or activate the statue's paws that will inflict moderate damage. If you hit the jackpot, it will spawn many power stones, so be ready to go for them if it happens.
Remember, don't miss the elevator, or else you'll be sorry.
The 4th stage is an elevator stage. On the 1st floor, you have quite a small room with not a lot going for it except for boxes. However, you can break the screen in the back, revealing a conveyor belt filled with chests. There's a pit at the end, and the belt is quite speedy, so be quick to catch your wanted item. After a short while, the elevator will shake and start going up. Get on it. Or not. You'll be transported on it for minimal damage if you forget to get on it at the right time, or if you just don't. 2nd floor does not have many things to do either, but the surroundings are a bit more dangerous than the 1st floor. You can teleport on those pods, but where you'll go is randomized with the other ones. Watch out for the press on the right of the elevator so you don't get flattened. Apart from those props, there's not much to describe here. Wait until the elevator starts going up again, then get on it to reach the last floor. Surprise, surprise, at the top floor there's a huge insect queen right in the middle. You can hurt it so it gets stunned, but you cannot defeat it. It will spawn eggs, and from those, smaller flies will attack anyone nearby. The queen can also whip you with its tail and has some other things it can do, but by the time you get there, you'll probably be almost done with the fight.
An aquatic adventure. Don't forget to take advantage of those subs.
Last stage to cover is the submarines area. There are 3 subs that can appear, but only 2 can be there at the same time. Each has its own gimmick. The blue sub has cannon, one being huge. The green one can spawn chests, and sometimes an aircraft that hovers and drops bombs. And the yellow one has a red button that you can pick up and throw to make missiles launch out of the sub. They'll target an opponent, dropping after a while. During the stage, one of the 2 subs will submerge, letting an icy platform pass sometimes, and the other sub will surface afterwards. This will keep going until you reach an iceberg, where the rightmost sub will hit it, rendering it immobile. The fight will then take place on the iceberg with the sub's gimmick still operational. You can break the ice on the iceberg to reveal chest or bomb, and you can even destroy the ice if you have an attack or an item that's strong enough or have fire properties. That's it for the stages. Now let's look at how a standard playthrough works.
A solid beginning may lead to a perfect ending. Go for it.
To escape the castle, you'll have to go over 5 stages including a mini-boss and the final stage, so that means there will be 3 action stages where you'll face off against opponents. Most modes will follow this template, changing the rules depending on the mode you choose. After 2 matches, you'll face off against the Pharaoh Walker, a huge mech with an uncanny valley face. Now that I think about it, why is there a giant robot in a castle, let alone a room dedicated to remaking a desert wasteland? How much would that cost? Anyway, this mini-boss's weakness is its head, but it's rather difficult to reach when it's standing. Pharaoh Walker also has many ways to defend itself. It will move and jump around, has a spin attack, a laser tail, a nasty tongue that it will use if you stand in front of it for too long, as well as an army of spearmen who can shoot balls of homing electricity. The standard way to make its head reachable is to attack its leg until you break 2 of them. Then, the boss will fall so you can attack its weak point for massive damage. Then, it will get back up with all its limbs healed to full health. Another way to hurt the walker is to use its own laser tail against it. To do so, you must climb on its back, shoot a soldier, and take its place on the seat to take control of the tail and shoot it for a huge portion of its health bar. You can use the laser up to 2 times, but you can sneak in a 3rd use if you mash the button when exiting the weapon. Beware, as the boss will attack more often and faster as its health bar goes down, and since all its attack hits like a truck, things can get out of control in a flash. But with enough perseverance, Pharaoh Walker will fall. You'll have to fight another normal match before you can reach the final stage, which is the center of the castle, where the one responsible for its sudden appearance hides. Reach your nemesis, however, you'll have to survive the waves of mannequins ready to beat you to a pulp. This is a cheap way to weaken you before the big fight. They will home in on you and attack with their weapon. While they don't move for a time in between attacks, they don't flinch when hurt either, so this makes them extra difficult to defeat. They drop a lot of money, the item they wield, and sometimes some health on defeat, so it may be worthwhile to beat them up anyway. You'll have 3 waves to survive, and when you do, you'll face the last hurdle to escape. Your mom. Dr. Erode wants your power stones and will stop at nothing to acquire them. He has one of his own, but it seems different, as it looks bleak and doesn't shine. No matter his reasons, you'll have to face him to be able to leave the castle. He will attack in many ways, such as shooting lightning from his hands, sweep across the arena and munch on you if he connects. He can send flies at you, spit his drink on you, and spam a fork attack. His weak point is his head, and if you damage it enough in a short amount of time, he'll be temporarily stunned and reveal his actual weak point, his heart. Just like Pharaoh Walker, the more he loses health, the faster he will attack, so don't relax until he's defeated. The best way to win is to find the power stones and use your special attacks to hit either his head or heart to deal ridiculous amounts of damage. Once he's KO'd, the whole castle will start to collapse. Your Power Stone will absorb Dr. Erode's, and you'll escape on Falcon's airship, ending with a scene where you see the castle crumble in the distance before disappearing. Congratulations, you've beaten the game! While the gameplay is very short, the game was made for the arcades, so it was built for quick games with high difficulty to gobble your quarters. Console version keeps this difficulty, but is much more forgiving as defeats are without consequences. You can retry any stage as much as you need until you succeed. Now that you know how an average game functions, here's the modes in which you can take part. One-on-one. This is the Power Stone 1 style of play. You advance each stage as described in one-on-one matches. Just defeat your opponent to clear the stages and get as much money as you can to get to the top of the leaderboards. Arcade, Power Stone 2's standard fighting mode. Fights are in a 4-player free-for-all format. 2 will advance to the next stage, but that doesn't make you allies. Even against bosses, your partner can sometimes sucker punch you as friendly fire is always on, so keep your distance and use the other character as a scapegoat to avoid being targeted. You can play this mode in multiplayer to make things a bit easier and have more cooperation and betrayal. Note that the match will end if player 1 is defeated, even in multiplayer. Upon clearing this mode with different characters, you'll unlock extra options you can tweak to customize your experience, which I'll cover in a minute. Original. This is the free battle mode. Choose your characters, teams, and stage and fight to your heart's content. Normal and extra rules will be in full effect here, so be sure to check them out before brawling. The Adventure mode. Arguably the most interesting of the modes, you can go on a standard 5-stage adventure, but this time any item you pick up will be added to your roster. Money picked up in this mode can be used in the item shop, mode specifically added for the console version. Additionally, there are cards hidden in stages that can be picked up, which cannot be used in matches, only in the shop. These cards are material cards used to create new items. You only have one life though, so if you're defeated, the game ends and your items and money will be tallied up before launching you back to the title screen. If you manage to beat the final stage, a special or rare item will be awarded as a special bonus. These items vary depending on the difficulty you're on, so the higher the challenge, the better the item you will get. Now for the item shop, the place I spent the most time in this game. Mel, the shopkeeper, will usually greet you, but sometimes Pride, Falcon's father, will be there instead, asking you for some items or money, often exchanging them for a rare item, but sometimes he'll just leave without giving you anything in exchange. So, what can you do in the item shop? Well, you can buy and sell items obviously, but there's one specific thing you can do here, fusing items. No matter the game, if you can fuse stuff together to create new stuff, I'm automatically interested. How does the item fusion works? Well, it's pretty simple really. Choose 2 items or material cards, start the machine, and here it didn't work. To make successful fusions, you need to listen to Mel's advice. She will give you hints whether the item combination will work or not. If she says the combination doesn't seem to work, it won't. If she supposes it works, you've got a winning combination. If you've already done a working fusion with said items, she'll tell you what will be created. If she says the combination seems interesting, there may be more than one result, or it may be even duplicated or mutates into another item gained or not. She can also tell you the combination works, but you need a text before being able to do it. In this case, you must have the corresponding text to unlock the item. Be advised that even if you've got a working combination, it may not work properly as it's all about probability, so it might take many tries before getting the wanted item. To help you maximize your chances, you can use special cards known as essences that will help you tweak a fusion. To give you some examples of effects these cards give, the Affection Essence will give you a 100% success rate for the fusion. The Food Essence will automatically create a food item no matter the item used, and the Horror card will make your result fail. I don't know why you'd want to use this one, but it's available nonetheless. There are 9 essences, all with varied effects, and they can only be obtained in specific ways. As you clear the arcade mode with more characters, the items available for purchase will expand, and some of these items can be gifted to Mel, who, in turn, will give you an essence card depending on the gift given. Rarer essences are harder to get. Some can only be obtained as adventure clear rewards, while others will appear sometimes in the roulette minigame. What's the roulette minigame? Let me explain. If a fusion fails, Mel will give you a coupon in compensation. Once you've got 3 coupons, you can play the roulette, a little minigame where you can win a unique item such as the texts to unlock more item combinations, a dress-up item, essence cards, or even nothing at all. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that there are appearance-altering items so you can outfit your characters. If the prize selection isn't interesting, just leave the screen and come back to it. The prize list will be refreshed. Convenient! If you've got money to spare, you can change the size of one area to increase your chances to win the item you want. It's useful and cheap enough, so it's a good idea to use it whenever you can. You can also win item catalogs, which adds items you haven't found in the item list to give you some hints, but the catalogs also unlock in the shop as you clear arcade mode with more characters. As you create more items, Mel will write them down in the item book. Here you can check out the items you've gotten, their level, a little description, and fusion combinations. Item catalogs will unlock the pages of the items you haven't found yet, giving you its name as a hint to what type of item it is. You can also see all the elements and essences you've gathered so far to keep track of your progress in adventure mode. As you fuse items, you'll eventually make higher level ones, which are more powerful but less common in chests. There are many kinds and they all have their uses. You'll definitely find a personal favorite. Mine are the Big Racket, which launches opponents all over the place, and the Frozen Tuna because have you ever thought of smacking someone with a whole tuna? Me neither, but I find the idea quite amusing. It also creates a lot of money when you hit an opponent, and it's easy to hit in succession because it stuns them slightly. Aside from the many items you can unlock, there are some other things to find in the game. On the main menu you have 2 sets of options, one with your standard options such as difficulty, time limit and amount of damage dealt, but you also have extra options that can change even more how you play. At first, you only have one option unlocked, but as you clear the arcade mode, a new option will be available each time. These can range from the number of power stones available to pick up, the length of the power meter, the amount of damage you deal and receive when transformed, and you can even unlock the sound test as the last option. After completing the extra options, the next 2 arcade clears will give you 2 new characters, Pride and Mel the shopkeeper. They play just like Falcon and Julia respectively, but with minor differences. Pride is stronger but slower and his transformation works differently from his son's, shooting medium-range tornado as his attack, and his specials are a flaming uppercut and shooting missiles around the field. He launches 2 sequences of missile and they don't home in on opponents, but they're so powerful that you can decimate an enemy's health bar if you manage to hit them with one. Mel in comparison is much less powerful but can still float like Julia. When transformed, she does not change much, only getting a pair of wings. Her attacks surrounds her with material cards, but the special thing about her is that her power gauge drains much slower than any other character. Her specials are all about money. She can make bags of cash fall on the head of the competition, or throw chump change in an arc in front of her. If you manage your gauge well, you can do up to 5 special attacks before reverting to your normal form. After unlocking Mel and Pride, the next arcade clears will unlock new stages, but these are only playable in original mode. First off, you can rematch the bosses. Their respective stage can be unlocked, but only playable in a 2-player format. The desert variant can also be played without the walker in it. Then, the 4-player maps. There are 3 extra stages you can play on. First one is the item shop. It's a simple map with a huge tree in the middle, but is rather on the small side so it feels cramped. There's still a good amount of verticality to make up for it. Second extra stage is on a small gateway between 2 buildings. You can walk on the beams on the side of the path, but they're pretty narrow so you'll probably fall anyway. Depth perception may be challenging for some in this stage, I know it is for me. Third extra stage is a unique one and it is huge. The arena is cube-shaped with a lot of verticality. Poles are scattered about and are useful to get to the upper part of the map where you can get a vantage point for many thrown weapons. It's a bit difficult to navigate, especially when all 4 players are in their corner of the map, but it's easily one of the best maps to play on with friends. After these, you've found all the unlockables the game has to offer. But before we close the video, let's finish with some tips, tricks, and one last bit of trivia. There is one or two movement abilities I forgot to mention in the controls earlier. First, you can hold on to some ceilings, like Pharaoh Walker's underbelly, Dr. Erode's palms, or the platforms in the Dark Castle stage first part. If you move off the edge, your character will lift themselves up the platform, making it easier for lower jumpers to keep up. You can even lunge at enemies if you attack. This technique is only mentioned once in the manual and nowhere else, but it's available and it's an extra movement option in a game where movement is pretty important. Try it next time you play. You can also make a unique attack when you're facing away from an opponent. Your character will attack while turning around, sometimes dealing a light stun to the enemy. I'm not quite sure how it works since I can only trigger it on instinct, but from what I gather, it seems to work that way. You also have team techniques you can do when playing team battles. If your partner's down, you can revive them by tapping the weak attack next to their character. This gives them half your remaining health, making this option quite risky unless one player is carrying the match. You can also do it in free-for-all, but that's not really pertinent to do so. There's also a combo attack you can do with both players, where one will launch at the other in a straight line. By itself, it's not that great, but it hides a special feature. It can unfuse any character in their fusion form if you connect the move. Next, do you have difficulty beating the mannequins in the last stage? Would you wish to skip them entirely? Boy, do I have some good cheese to share. On the first and third rounds, you can climb up a pole, then jump on the top of it to completely avoid all attacks made by mannequins. Just let the time pass until the game decides to advance to the next round. On the second round, there's no poles, but you can still smell cheese. Just jump on the largest mannequin and none will be available to hit you. This only works when you have no computer-controlled second player, as they'll attack mannequins or even you if they get too close, destroying the tactic completely. Regardless, it's a nice way to fight cheap with cheap. And finally, did you know that Power Stone was popular enough back then that it managed to get an anime adaptation? It was produced by Studio Pierrot and directed by Takahiro Omori, and was based on the characters of the first game, with their stories being altered a bit to create a better setting. It spawned 26 episodes and aired on Japan TV from April to September 1999, and later licensed to ADV Films for broadcast in North America at the beginning of the 2000s, such as on Canadian channel YTV. It stars Falcon, who receives a Power Stone from his father that starts an adventure where he has to find the rest of the stones while searching for his old man. He's going to travel along Ryoma, who acts as his friendly rival, and Rouge, the female lead and love interest of both guys. Ayame likes to follow the crew and create shenanigans, Jack acts as an antagonist, and you'll see many familiar faces as the episodes go on. There is a DVD collection that was made, and some volumes are still available to buy on Amazon, so I'm pretty sure you can still find a full collection for the right price. So yeah, that was my look back at Power Stone 2, a game I am still fond of today. Playing it again for this video made me realize that the game is still fun to play today. The controls are slick, the action is frantic, and while controls are on the simpler side, the number of options you have in every situation is impressive. The console version has much to do even if the game was made for arcades first, and while the run is very short, the addition of the adventure mode and item shop made players come back again and again to fill up the item book and see all the crazy effect hidden items might have. I'm confident that this game could still find some popularity today with its chaotic action and flexible gameplay controls. Luckily, both Power Stone titles are available on the recently released Capcom's Fighting Collection 2, and I'm really happy that Capcom did not forget this awesome franchise, as the gameplay concept is not that used in fighting games, and also because I believe these games can still be relevant as they offer a fresh take in a common genre. It would be nice to see a revival of the series. There's a big potential for lore, the characters are full of personality, and there's many ways you could tweak a story from stones that can give the ultimate power to anyone. If you haven't heard or played either of the Power Stones, I highly recommend you check them out, especially if you like unique twists in your fighting games. They are relics of the past that deserve to be enjoyed and preserved, as it's one of the few games that manage to faithfully capture the feel of arcades on home consoles. It's easy to pick up and play because of its simplicity, and challenging to master because of the many possibilities you have in any given situation. That's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next video. Take care.
Game